Want to make some money? That's what this show is all about. We got a ton of betting information coming your way today. Steve Merril will be joining us. He's going to take apart the number 3 ranked Duke Blue Devils playing against Virginia. This game is on ESPN, and Steve is going to tell you exactly how to bet this. He's also going to tell you how to bet the number 13 Arizona playing Baylor, another ESPN game. Andrew McInnis will be joining us. He's going to look at the USA versus Sweden game, and we're going to take a deep dive into what to bet for the upcoming second half of the NHL season. He's also got a Stanley Cup winner and a long shot to give you. And we're going to have Pavlos on as well, talking soccer. Championship League, Bayern Munich against Celtic, Dortmund against Sporting, and Real Madrid against my favorite team, Man City. We're going to end the show with Gianni The Greek. If you guys have never watched this show before, stay with us all the way to the end. We are going to provide you guys with betting information. We're going to tell you how to make some money, and we're going to start right off the bat with Steve frickin' Merril. How are you, Steve?
Doing well, Prez. Happy President's Day. Found my American flag, which is always nearby. And let's celebrate President's Day with no NBA, no NHL, and only 3 games on the main betting board for college basketball. But the good news is I'm going to give you 2 of those 3, as you just mentioned, for free right here on the show, both of the national TV games.
There you go. Well, why don't we start right off the bat with Duke playing against Virginia? How are we going to bet this game?
So let's talk about the ACC. Always has been a power conference since I was a child in the 80s. The ACC, the Big East, growing up in the D.C. area were my conferences of choice. But boy, has the ACC fallen in recent years. And, the writing's been on the wall. The last couple seasons, it's been Duke, North Carolina, and kind of Virginia as the only 3 legitimate teams. And then, of course, a week before the season began in October, Tony Bennett steps down for UVA. Very unsudden. I think one of the reasons he's waited till the last moment is because he wanted his assistant to get the job, which he did. But now there's a coaching committee being formed. Not sure they're going to keep him. And Virginia, not a good team. They're barely top 100 in the net ratings this year. In fact, I do my top 25 college basketball video every Saturday here on the channel. Click subscribe, click that bell for an instant alert. And about a week ago, Duke was the only top 25 team in the entire rankings until Clemson upset them and made some noise. So there really isn't much other than Duke. Duke is a really good team, though. They beat Auburn this season. In fact, their only losses came to Kansas, Kentucky, and then that Clemson loss. They're now 14-1 in the conference. But you're laying a premium when you're playing Duke, and that's why it's 14.5 in this game. Virginia did not play well this season. They started the conference season 1-6 straight up. But they have quietly won 3 in a row and 5 of their last 7 in conference play. And I think they actually could maybe hang within the big number here in this game. Duke doesn't have a lot going on. They're coming off a blowout win of Stanford. They've got a non-conference Big Ten matchup against Illinois on deck next Saturday. So they have the entire week off. So it should be a focused spot. But the main reason I think Virginia can hang is, once again, even without Tony Bennett, they're one of the slowest teams in the country. 364 Division I teams. They are the 3rd slowest team in the nation. And Duke no longer plays fast like they did under Coach K. In fact, Duke ranks 279 in tempo. So this should be a slow-down, low-scoring game. And whenever it's a low-scoring game, it gives a 14.5 point underdog a better chance of keeping it close. Also think that probably favors the under as well. Definitely feel like Virginia and the under would be somewhat correlated in this game tonight at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Or actually, 8 o'clock Eastern. Because there's so few games, this one's at 8 Eastern tonight on ESPN.
Steve Merril joining us, everyone. You can find him over at WagerTalk, an incredible handicapper. Steve, let's turn our attention to this Arizona-Baylor game. And, Arizona, this is one of those man-up spots for Arizona. They just lost 2 games in a row. They were recently manhandled as well. 62-58 is not a manhandling, but they really dominated that game against Houston and let it slide. Now they play a Baylor team that's riddled with injuries. Baylor -1.5. We've spoken about this many times before. If you guys plan on betting Baylor, take them on the money line. Steve, where are you going in this game?
It's a tough call because normally quality teams at home in a focused spot like Baylor with revenge would definitely make my short list. But then as I dug more into this game tonight, kind of like the Arizona side, and there's a few reasons. And that's why the line is just 1.5 in this one. First of all, Baylor coming off the overtime win against West Virginia. They've only got 7 guys in the rotation right now. They're decimated by injuries. They only have 7 guys really playing. 5 of those guys played the majority of the game. They have a couple guys that played more than 41 minutes on Saturday in that overtime win. Quick turnaround now here with just 1 day of rest. They do remain at home, which helps a little bit. But as you mentioned, Prez, Arizona coming off back-to-back losses against Kansas State and a very good Houston team. They were combined 7 for 45 from three-point range in that loss. Their most recent loss before that against Texas Tech a month ago, they were 3 for 18. The game right before that, they beat Baylor by 11 back in January, and they were 7 for 14 from three-point range. So really it's going to come down to if Arizona hits their threes or not. These are 2 teams that aren't great shooting teams overall. Arizona does like up-tempo. Baylor plays very slow. Normally, home team with revenge playing slow would make my cut. I just think Arizona's a better squad. I just feel like Baylor could be a little fatigued. Safest play in this one actually might be to focus on the total. It's all the way up to 152.5. I do think tired legs could hurt the Baylor offense a little bit, and they're definitely not going to want to run. So I do think they're able to dictate tempo more, slow the game down. If you're going to play this one at 10 Eastern tonight, let's stay away from the side. Let's look at the total, go under 152.5.
Steve Merril, everybody, under 152.5 in the Baylor-Arizona game. Steve, you are known as an NBA betting machine. I mean, you have dominated the NBA over the last many years. Obviously, it's in break right now, but what I want to do is talk to you about how to attack the NBA moving forward. Now, we're going to have the same conversation with Andrew in regards to NHL, and there are teams that are out of it. There are teams that are vying for playoff positioning, and there are teams that are vying for the playoffs. Is there any strategies that you are going to be using moving forward that you didn't use in the past, and what should people look for when betting the NBA in the second half of the season?
Yeah, I'll say, first of all, I will give you some things to look for. As far as changing strategy, I really probably won't change much. One thing that's jumped out to me this year happened in the NFL. You know, the favorites are covering a huge amount in October, early November. We talked about that a lot in the NFL. And one of the reasons is because there were some really good teams and some really bad teams. There's like no middle class anymore in the NFL. And I feel like we're seeing that more than ever this year in the NBA. We're seeing 17, 19-point favorites on certain nights, and those teams still can cover the line. And we're seeing teams just get blown out by 20 or 30. So kind of like with the NFL, I think you got to be very careful playing bad teams. That's not going to change. I very rarely play bad teams. I did take a shot with the Jazz here on the show last week, if you recall, when Doncic was making his debut. The Lakers blew him out, and then, of course, Utah beat them outright as a double-digit dog 2 days later at home. But that's how you have to handicap the NBA. It's situational. That's why I've done so well over the years. In fact, I'm number 1 all-time, units 1 in the NBA at WagerTalk. 85 and 56 last year on sides. About 90% of my plays are side selections. More totals come playoff time. But you want to look for situational plays where you think one team is focused, one's not. Be very careful with bad teams. And once again, look to play good teams in focus spots. So I'll continue to do that in the second half. As far as some more general things, first of all, the Laker trade with Dallas was the big news. I do think the Lakers are a weaker defensive team without Anthony Davis, with Doncic now with LeBron. So some Laker overs are going to definitely be worth a look. Dallas is banged up right now with injury. Anthony Davis is out. But when he comes back, him and Kyrie, it might take a little bit. But I still think they got the better end of that trade with a healthy Anthony Davis. I think they're definitely a title contender. Don't forget, they made the finals last year. Now they have a little bit better down low, and they still got Kyrie at the guard position. So Dallas could be a play-on team when they get healthy over the next few weeks. The cream of the crop, obviously, is Oklahoma City and Cleveland in each conference. They both stand, 44-10, identical, I believe, in each conference, and they're legit. And what really jumps out to me about OKC and Cleveland as well, they're really good defensively. So once again, when the playoffs roll around, I think we're going to get some good under bets with these Class A teams when they start facing each other.
There we go. Great handicap, great thoughts from Steve. I do have one last question. Is there a bet against team in the NBA moving forward? Like for me, it's going to be to always look to play against the Chicago Bulls. Have you spotted any team that you think might just tank all the way through?
Yeah, there's some teams I think it could be play on, actually, Prez. The reason I say that is I like to look at teams that are really underachieving. And we talked about this last week here on the show. The Atlanta Hawks, had the worst point spread record in the league for a couple years, and they went on a little mini slide, but then they covered like 5 out of the last 6 before the break. Hawks are just 3 games under 500, but the entire Southeast Division, Orlando's winning in. They're 2 games below 500. So I think Atlanta with Trae Young, because keep in mind, Trae Young was a guy some people thought might be traded. He wasn't.
Yeah.
I think Atlanta could be a play-on team. The Wizards in the bottom of that conference, 9-45, 23-30 against the spread there. Again, I'll go back to what I said earlier. Really play against teams for me are the same bad teams from the first half. You just got to be very careful using those teams. In the NFL, though, using that analogy, once again, we did see some of the dogs start to cover in December. Maybe we'll see that come April, but we need to see it first. Don't try to catch those falling knives.
There we go. Steve Merril. We got a promotion going. This ends tomorrow. It's the 30-day promotion. By 30 days, all access. It's under $8 a day. That's $239 for 30 days. That includes every sport, every play that handicapper picks. This is a very effective way to buy picks. It puts you in a position where the price of the picks are not going to get in the way of winning money. Steve, what do you have going for the clients today?
Yeah, and that's why we do these specials, Prez. You're exactly right. If you want to try out more than just a one-day $25 play, make a commitment to a 30-day, get it down to under $8 a day. That's less than like $4 a play because I average about 2 to 3 plays a day. It's college and pro hoops. I had a client now, it was a viewer, chime in and said he'd been getting the daily plays and he upgraded to the 1 year this weekend with my SM365 promo. That gets it down to $1 a play. More info as well on my page for that one. But really, that's the way we have the smaller packages. Every client gets the same best bet, whether it's a 1 day, a 1 month, or a 1 year. Same games I'm personally using, same games I've won consistently with for 29 years as a full-time professional handicapper. And don't forget about the bonus daily free plays. My last cut, I put it up for free for everybody. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and get there quicker with that shortcut, wt.buzz/SM.
There we go. Outstanding stuff by Steve Merril. Lots of shows still, guys. We got Andrew McInnis coming on to talk some NHL. We got Pavlos coming on to talk some soccer. And, of course, we're going to end the show just like we do every day with Gianni The Greek. Couple of things to mention. Firstly, welcome everybody into the chat room. I love having you all with us. Just Fred, Carm, JP, Chuck, Waj, B-Daddy, really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to join us, especially on President's Day in America and Family Day in Canada. Kind of interesting. You guys are going to honor your president, as you should, and the Canadians are going to honor their family, as we should. Anyway, I could go on for an hour about that. Plus, people are chiming in the chat room about how the Canadians booed the American anthem. I got a thought on that too, but none of those thoughts are allowed, so we shall move on. So last Thursday, I had a 5% play in college basketball, and it lost. And I told you guys on Friday that whenever that happens, if Andrew McInnis puts out a 5% NHL play and it loses the next day, the next few days must play Andrew McInnis. Same with Gianni, Steve Merril, Ben Burns. It doesn't matter. For some weird reason, whenever a handicapper loses a 5% play, they then tend to win the next few days. I told you guys that. I begged you guys to play me. And how did it go? Well, since Thursday, I've lost one college basketball game. I went 1-0 on Friday. I went 2-1 on Saturday, and I went 1-0 on Sunday. I am now on a absolute massive roll in college hoops. I've won 8 of my last 10, and my college totals are outstanding all year. Actually, my college totals are outstanding the last 3 years of betting. I do have 2 college basketball plays up tonight, 1 ATS bet, 1 total. You can get them both over at WagerTalk. And I think, guys, and I'm saying this, I'm looking you dead in the eye, I think I'm going to have an absolutely sick money-making run in college hoops from now till the end. You've heard me say that. Watch it happen. I also feel like I'm going to be on a big NBA run. And, of course, NHL starts soon. So I believe that I am in must-bet mode right now, and I hope that you guys take the time to join me. Nothing is more fun than winning money together. Andrew McInnis joining us. And, Andrew, There are some Americans in the chat room that are already giving Canadians grief for losing a meaningless exhibition game a few nights ago. Now, I understand that this is a meaningless tournament completely, but let's just put this into perspective. If or when Canada wins on Thursday, are they still going to be bragging about Saturday's game? What do you think?
Well, so the one thing I'll say about this is the last time Team USA beat Team Canada in international best on best competition, Prez, you guessed it, was a round robin game back in Vancouver 2010 when Crosby scored the golden goal in the finals. So yeah, I mean, we still have to get to the finals, but I don't think a round robin win will matter if they don't win the finals. So I just want to say one thing, and this is a big kumbaya moment here, just saying all the stuff people are talking about on social media, the back and forth and stuff like that. As someone that primarily covers hockey on WagerTalk, talks the most about hockey on social media, trying to build a brand around hockey talk and hockey betting, I'm pumped to see people talking about the sport right now.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, I understand, Prez, you weren't the biggest fan of it. I know you love the game of hockey, and the games have certainly been great. But for, LeBron James to back out yesterday of the All-Star game because his ankle was sore, and for three guys to fight to start off the game on Saturday night, for that building to be as loud and as packed as it is for a quote-unquote meaningless game, international best on best. I mean, right now, I've seen so many people on my timeline talking about hockey that I've never seen before. And yeah, whether it was for cheering for USA or Canada, it makes me feel good as a fan of the sport.
Yeah, and Andrew, we'll just stop there for a second. And guys, we have some betting information still to come. Stay with us, but it is a slow week of sports, and we're going to talk as well. Andrew, I had the pleasure of living in Australia for 3 years. I became a cricket and rugby fanatic. We're going to actually be talking cricket tomorrow. The ICC Championships start, 8 best teams in the world playing against each other. We have a gentleman from Bet Online coming on to talk cricket. But what I'm mentioning is Australia and New Zealand every now and again would have an exhibition rugby game or an exhibition cricket game, and it was massive. It really stopped the countries. So I get it. This is something that the Canadians and Americans should do on a more regular basis. And even though it is meaningless in the sense that it's not the Olympics or the World Cup, I see no reason why there can't be a best of 7 every year. And they play it sporadically, one game every 6 weeks or something. It is, if the NHL wants to showcase hockey, this is it. With that said, those contrived, made up bullshit fights that happened at the beginning of the game, there is no place for that nonsense. It is utterly idiotic. Only pugilistic Canadians are sitting there flexing. Oh, so exciting. They made up a fight. There's no place for that shit in our game at all. It was honestly, you had the guys on the desk saying, I was the best start in the history of hockey. That was the worst start in history of hockey. Like, what? I mean, they literally just dropped their gloves, circled around. Everybody was in on it. Nobody landed anything. They lay on the ground, and then they did it again because little Brady needed to be with his big bro in the box. Oh, so
you know what that showed me, though? I think what that showed me is, like, as fans, we were so excited, and the building at the Bell Center was the loudest that some reporters said that they ever saw it. What that showed me, though, Prez, is that those guys were nervous too. Those guys were excited. The amount of adrenaline going through those guys, I mean, that's why they did it. They were like, we need to just do something. You're right, it has nothing to do with hockey, but I mean, you can't say it wasn't kind of crazy to see that start to the game. Obviously, it has nothing to do with hockey, but pretty intense, pretty nuts.
Yeah, I was slightly embarrassed, to be honest with you. It's our sport. We're the best at it. We have been forever. Yeah.
We didn't start the fights. You got to stick up for yourself.
Anyway, Andrew McInnis, Canada's playing Finland today. I know we're not supposed to be discussing this game, but man, like if this was one of those regular season games, we would be like Canada off a horrible loss to America playing Finland, who's coming off of a must-win game against their number one rival after being ahead, then being down, then tying it up, then winning in OT. This is an incredible spot to bet Canada, a god-awful spot to bet Finland. Yet the line is like a gazillion. So this is just a layoff game for me. You have any quick thoughts on this hockey game?
I just put a free play out at WagerTalk, and this is a play as well for clients. And I'll tell you what, this is one that we've done pretty well on this tournament so far. Past week and a half, no NHL. We're still up, I believe, 8 or 9 units on the tournament. You look at the current number at DraftKings is upwards of like 450, 460 as far as the favorited number for Canada. But Prez, I was able to lock in minus 115 on Canada to win the first period. On the three-way line, minus a half goal first period. They scored a goal in the first period against Sweden, scored a goal in the first period against Team USA, albeit they might not have won the first period there in that game. They still got off to an early start. That first period is very, very important to this one. They have to get the lead and not look back. I saw some people talking about the minus 1.5. Hell, some guy sent me a slip he's on today, plus 2.5 goals for Finland. And it was only minus 130. I don't care how much you like.
Andrew McInnis just froze on us, everyone. Josh F. Oh, Andrew will get his mic working. Josh F. Allen likes Canada 5-1. I think that's a fairly reasonable score, Josh. Look, you know what, push comes to shove. Canada is playing today at 1 p.m. If I were to be betting both of these games, I would likely do a small minus 1.5 parlay on both favorites here. I do think Canada is going to get it done. I love Andrew's pick of getting it done in the first period. I think that first period bet makes a lot of sense. And as for the USA and Sweden, look, the USA are in, but they're going to come out flying no matter what. And this Sweden team, especially if Canada wins, this game, Sweden is out. So take that into account as well. Do we have Andrew McInnis with us? No worries. Let me talk to you guys about the second half of the NHL season. So when we look to bet the second half of the NHL season, we must understand where the teams are specifically. In the Eastern Conference, we've got a dogfight, an absolute dogfight for the playoffs. Ottawa and Detroit are sitting in the first and second wildcard spot. Ottawa with 62 and Detroit with 61 points. But right behind both of them is Columbus and Boston with 60, the Rangers with 58, the New York Islanders with 57, Montreal, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia with 55. None of those teams are out of it. However, we need to figure out which two are going to get those two wildcard positions, and that will help in regards to betting. So for me, I'm telling you guys right off the bat, moving forward, I am going to be looking to bet on the New York Rangers. I believe the New York Rangers will win one of those two final spots. I'm also going to be looking to bet against the Montreal Canadiens, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Philadelphia Flyers. So out of that group of teams, I believe the Montreal Canadiens, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia are bet against teams. I think they will fall out of the race. I think the Columbus Blue Jackets are a bet against team. I think they fall out of the race. And I think the Boston Bruins are a bet against team. So that leaves us with the Rangers, the Islanders, Detroit, and Ottawa. Two of those four teams make it. I think the Rangers will be one of them. I'm telling all my NHL clients right now, expect a lot of client plays moving forward on the New York Rangers. They are my favorite team to bet on moving into the second half of the season. Andrew McInnis, any thoughts? Okay. No, Andrew McInnis. Now, in regards to the Western Conference, Well, there's no dogfight here, guys. We got Vancouver holding the second last wild card. The last wild card position with 63 points. Calgary with 60, and Utah with 57. Moving forward, man, I think Colorado is a bet-on team. They're in a wild card spot right now, 68 points, but this is a team that I think really gets going. And I think the Calgary Flames are a bet against team moving forward. Andrew, I have mentioned that the New York Rangers, for me, are my number one bet-on team moving forward. Colorado Avalanche are a bet-on team moving forward. And my 4 bet against teams moving forward are the Canadiens, the Penguins, the Flyers, and the Boston Bruins. Do you have anything to add to this conversation?
I feel very similar to you. I think that you want to get ahead of things. I hope my connection's all right, Prez. I don't know what happened there, but I really like to use these types of graphics. The NHL strength of schedule graphics here. Detroit, San Jose, New York Islanders, Seattle, and New Jersey. Some teams I'm looking at going against. Those are the teams with the hardest schedule remaining in the NHL season. Toronto, Nashville, Washington, Senators, and Chicago with the lighter and easier remaining schedules in the season. And I think for certain teams you want to look at that might be sellers at the deadline, teams that might start getting rid of players. And I think you're spot on with the Montreal Canadiens. So despite them having an easier schedules, quote unquote, for the remainder of the year, they are going to trade away some depth pieces, which will really hurt them as a whole. So I think you look at certain teams like the Tampa Bay Lightning. I do expect more out of them in the second half. And I think I look at a team like the Washington Capitals. People have to realize they're the real deal. You know, a lot of people are still saying this Capitals team might not be the team. And I didn't really believe in them for quite a long time, Prez. But for now, third easiest schedule the remainder of the season. And look where they are right now in the standings. They're in a really good spot.
Yeah. And Andrew, you know, if as a Leaf fan, I'd like to play the Washington Capitals, and I'm good to play them in the first round. So I'm not a believer. Now, in the regular season, they've been absolutely outstanding, lights out. But honestly, bring them on. I would be ecstatic to play Washington moving forward. What do you think about the Calgary Flames? This team is fascinating because they've overachieved. They were in a transition rebuild year. They traded their goalie and just about every star they have, and yet they're really playing tough hockey. I think they're going to be a good under bet moving forward. But this is a team that is really the only one, maybe Utah, that could take a wild card spot. Otherwise, it looks like it's going to be Vancouver in that last position. I don't buy this Calgary team, and I don't think they're going to be a seller, but I do think they're going to come down to earth.
Yeah, I think they're going to be in a really tricky situation, Prez, because I agree with you. They're going to be in that weird spot where they just miss. They're not getting any great draft picks this year in the draft, but they aren't going to the postseason either. So it's kind of a weird spot for them. I just think that when you look at the team that they have, they've relied way too much on goaltending. And in the NHL these days, it can only take you so far. You can only win so many games by scoring just 3 goals. And the Flames have already won way more games than I could have ever imagined by only scoring 3 goals. As I always say on Puck Time, 4 is the magic number I believe you need to win against the best teams. Maybe not against the mediocre teams, but against the best teams, you need 4. And the Flames rely way too much on their goaltending.
Andrew McInnis, everyone. Andrew, what do you got to promote?
Well, right now, the great deal, great special, NHL 30 is the promo code. We'll take $50 off my NHL 30-day package. We've done very well, Prez, with the 4 Nations, trying to make some money with that while the NHL is on break. And then, hopefully kick things off on a really, really good note. We have absolutely crushed NHL 5% plays, number 1 this year at the website with 5% plays. Also number 1 on 4% and 5% plays combined. So full transparency, Prez, I got to just ditch the 3% and 2% plays and just rock with my favorite ones, because right now the 4s and 5s are the ones that are working. And I just wanted to reiterate, you asked my thoughts on that Canada one. I think first period minus a half goal is only minus 115 compared to the minus 400 price there on the money line. And I know we're running on time and different things like that. So I'll just say I like the over 5.5 in the USA and Sweden matchup. It's a different goalie for USA tonight. It's a meaningless game for them. I'm sure you're going to be fired up playing in front of their home crowd. Charlie McAvoy, who's from or plays in Boston, he will not play due to rest, Prez. Sweden has scored 3 goals in both their games so far. They'll pull the goalie early if they have to. The 5.5 juiced over is minus 130. I think it's certainly worth a wager. I think at the very least we see goals on both sides, but I definitely expect Sweden to contribute to this over.
Yeah, actually, that over bet makes a lot of sense, Andrew. I'm going to put a small wager on that myself. I got a poker tournament today, so I'm excited. I'll have all the games on. 60
Nice.
people playing. I'm pretty pumped about that. Andrew McInnis. Oh, and the best part about it is, and this is private, my wife went to Turks and Caicos without me. She left yesterday. Yes!
There you go. I was going to say the best part about it is my wife's not going to be there, but I didn't think a wife was ever going to be at a poker night anyway. So she's away for longer than just tonight.
7 days, baby! Get
There we
out
go.
here, Andrew McInnis. Pavlos getting married. You will understand that happy dance one day. How are you, my friend?
On September, and you're all invited, by the way, the WagerTalk people. I'll make this official soon. We got Champions League, the second legs of the first playoff round. It's really exciting. Some massive matchups there. To be honest, it looks like a really, really tricky card, but there are some value picks I want to discuss with you guys, and it's looking, I think I don't have a 5% this week unless something happens, unless I read something that I love. But there's some little, small bets at some great value across the board, and I cannot believe the numbers that I'm seeing, actually.
Yeah, well, let's get into that. But before that, Pavlos, I want an official invitation because I want to show it to the wife. And then, hey, we don't get a chance to go to weddings in Greece very often. I went to one in Brazil. It was one of the highlight weddings of my life. They danced all night. And you would appreciate this, Pavlos. I was in Santos for one night of my whole life. And that was when Santos won the Brazilian Soccer Cup.
Nice.
I was in Paris for one night my whole life. And it was when France won the World Cup. So I'm totally game in Greece. I had an incredible female in Greece once. Okay. Byron, I did. Her name was Shalorda. If you're listening, Shalorda, I remember you. Okay, Bayern Munich versus Celtic. You like the total in this game, and Byron, tell us how to bet it.
Okay, this is a lopsided matchup. Bayern Munich, they beat Celtic by 2-1 in the first leg in Scotland. They're now minus 650 favorites at home. The draw is at plus 750. Celtic are plus 1400 underdogs, and that tells you a lot about this, how this match is going to go. The Asian spread is set at 2.5 goals, and the Asian total is set at 3.75 goals. Now, Bayern, they can drop 3, 4, 5 goals against anyone. And it's true that they don't even need a win here. Having won the first leg on the road, even a draw here gets them through. But they are not the team to play for a draw at home against a team from Scotland, an inferior side. They're going to go all in this match because, they have been struggling a little bit to get confident results. They're coming off a goalless draw against Leverkusen on Saturday, which was actually a huge title derby in the Bundesliga, but they didn't even need to win. That draw kept them 8 points ahead of Leverkusen. But a couple of results in the last 5 were not so confident. So they really need a big confidence boost ahead of the final part of the season. And Celtic look like the perfect victim. Now, Celtic, they've actually never won on German soil, and this is these statistics where certain teams, they are really bad in certain countries. They count a lot. And in fact, Celtic, they actually played one match in Germany in the Champions League this season, and they were thrashed 7-1 by Dortmund, who, by the way, are sitting 11th in the Bundesliga. Now they're playing the Bundesliga league leaders. So Celtic, their last 3 visits on German soil ended pretty badly. They lost by 3-1 3-2 and 7-1. So this Celtic side, don't write them off all that easily because they can be tricky, although they're much better at home than they are on the road. On the road, they tend to be bad. But at this point, they're doing well in their domestic league. They're going to throw like a Hail Mary in this match. They need to win by exactly 1 goal to at least send this match to extra time, or win by 2 goals to eliminate Bayern. I don't think this is happening, but I do think that they'll at least put up a fight. Maybe they score here, maybe they don't, but Bayern are more than capable of scoring 4, 5, 6 goals on their own. So same game parlay with Bayern to win and over 3.5 goals is at minus 118. It's a solid way to bet on this. And you know what? I'm going to throw in another small, an extra play there, a prop. It's not widely available, but it was actually my first selection for this match, and it's a penalty kick to be awarded. Now, there is a good referee for penalty kicks with 13 and 21 matches this season, and both Bayern and Celtic, they're getting and conceding quite a few penalty kicks. In fact, Bayern Munich have 13 penalty kicks for and 3 penalty kicks against them this season. And Celtic have 8 penalty kicks for and 5 against them. So the main bet here is Bayern Munich to win and over 3.5 goals minus 118. And also throw some beer money on the penalty kick to be awarded at plus 150.
Wow. Guys, if you don't think Pavlos knows his shit, you need to check yourself into some hospital. Sheesh. Okay, brother. There's 2 games on Wednesday. Dortmund versus Sporting, and Real Madrid against my favorite team, Man City. Let's go through both of them at the same time because I got nothing to add. The microphone is yours.
Okay, first one, Dortmund versus Sporting. Dortmund, they beat Sporting by 3-0 in what was a pretty big upset, I should say, in the first leg in Portugal. So Sporting, they're generally one of the top 3 teams in the Portuguese league by a lot. They were doing really well for the better part of this season, but their coach suddenly decided to leave them, and he went to Manchester United. So since then, it's been a weird transitional period for Sporting, who are struggling to piece 2 wins together. They're struggling to keep clean sheets. Their offense is broken, so all things are going wrong for them. Now, Dortmund, as I said, they won the first leg on the road by 3-0. Now they're playing at home. So it's all Sporting's game now, in the sense that Sporting, if they want to qualify to the next round, they need to win in Germany by 3 goals in order to send this match to extra time, or win by 4 goals and steal the qualification from Dortmund, which I really don't think is going to happen. Dortmund are minus 105 favorites at home. The draw is at plus 275. Sporting are plus 270 underdogs on the road. Now, Sporting, there is a logic that says that whenever a team wins the first leg by a lot, you bet the other team to get something from the second leg. Now, in this case, Sporting double chance is at minus 110, which is an interesting way to bet on this. But if Sporting even want to have a fighting chance, they need to score at least a couple of goals. So Sporting to score twice is at plus 186. It's a good number, but that's not where I'm going. Right. I'm going with a player prop here. I'm going with Sporting's Swedish bomber, Victor Gyökeres. The guy is a maniac. He isn't scoring a lot in his last 5 because he's nursing an injury, and he only played like 20-30 minutes in each match. But before that, he had 34 goals in all competitions for Sporting this season. He was scoring in every other match, whether it is a home match, an away match, a domestic match, or a Champions League. The guy is a bona fide scorer, and now they need him to weigh in. He played 90 minutes on the weekend, which tells me that he's ready. He overcame his injury, and he's now going to start. And again, Sporting, they're a very talented team, but by far the most talented player in that squad is Gyökeres. And, if this match was played maybe 3 months ago, you would find Gyökeres to score any time at minus 110, minus 120, maybe even money. But now Gyökeres is at plus 170 to score any time. And again, this is a guy that has scored 34 goals in all competitions for Sporting this season, and Sporting really need him to weigh in on Wednesday. It's the early kickoff, 12:45 p.m. Eastern. So give me Victor Gyökeres to score anytime at plus 170. Huge number there.
My friend, really quickly, Man City, Real Madrid. You like City to advance at plus 470. I love these juicy dogs. Let's not even get into why. That is your pick. City to advance at plus 470. You are on a 16-4 run and 4% releases. Your soccer has been outstanding since the day you joined us, which was let me put it to you this way. Your beard was jet black when you joined WagerTalk. Number one in soccer over the last 4 weeks. What do you got going for the clients, Pavlos? And I cannot thank you enough for joining us.
I have some. I'm gonna load my plays actually after this show is done, but looks like no big plays in the Champions League. But I do have several plays in the in both days, both Tuesday and Wednesday. But Thursday, I'm looking at least 3 plays. They're gonna be at least 1 or 4 or 5%. I can't make any promises now because I'm traveling tomorrow, so I have to make up a lot of stuff, all my my passports and whatnot. But we're entering a period of very, very high volume soccer betting because the MLS is starting in a week. We got the Champions League. 2 weeks later, we got another round of Champions League and Europa League. Of course, the Copa Libertadores and Brazil are starting, where we make the most money ever. In the last 3 seasons, we are plus 100 units in the summer months alone. So for now, you can use code SOC30 to get 30 days of soccer for just $129. You can try me out because we got a lot of competitions, a lot of soccer going on from now till the end of summer. So just try me out with 30 days of soccer. I guarantee you that you're going to make a lot of money. I have some excellent ideas. I got player props. I got correct scores. I got all kinds of crazy ways to make money. And we're doing pretty well since we joined WagerTalk, and there's no stopping. So SOC30 to get 30 days of soccer for just $129. You can find all my free plays and my promos and my premium plays at wt.buzz/PL.
Gianni Detroit, I freaking love this guy, man. Wow. I'm pumped. Plus, his beard is so freaking sick. Gianni the Greek still to come real quick. Free play for you guys. I was killing it on these free plays last week. Today, we're going with Northern Iowa on the money line. They're playing Murray State, and this line just makes absolutely 0 sense to me. Northern Iowa is the better team. This number should be a lot higher than it is. I handicapped this game at Northern Iowa -4. This game was scheduled for yesterday, but there was a power outage on the Murray State campus. And look, here's the bottom line, guys. Northern Iowa sits in second place in the Mo Valley. Murray State, they're barely a 500 team this season. Murray State, they were a small favorite yesterday. Now Northern Iowa is a small favorite, like -1. Don't overthink this play. Take Northern Iowa on the money line. Let's continue cashing. And guys, make sure to bet both my college basketball tonight. I'm seeing it perfectly. Gianni the Greek joining us. And Gianni, what are your thoughts on this Pavlos guy? I mean, dude, he comes across like mic drop Pavlos.
I love specialists, bro. Always been a fan. That's how I actually put together some of the groups that I move for. Some are MMA specialists, some are college basketball specialists, NFL specialists, college basketball specialists. Those are the guys I trust the most because the ones that cover all the markets, those guys are just looking to beat numbers. Like they're looking at small edges, get down as much volume as possible. But the specialists aren't like that. They're narrowing down their greatest edges. And sometimes they're not even moving markets, which is a big boost if you're not getting it right away. You know what I mean? You could still get a great number because they're not betting enough or giving it to these groups that are moving the market. And that to me is gold. That's like, I've had some prop guys that don't bet a lot of money, but beat certain prop markets year in, year out.
Right.
Those to me are gold compared to guys that if I don't bet it in 30 seconds, it's gone. The number's gone. And so much time sensitive stuff that then I can't even share it. Because what good is it telling you to go, we laid -4 and you look at the screen, it's -7.5 now. What are you supposed to do with that? Absolutely nothing. So, yeah, I love specialists, and he's one of the best ones I know in soccer.
Yeah, dude, that kept me off of a loser, hey. I had Princeton +11 against Yale. I go to put it in the system. It was down to 7.5. I'm like, yeah, that's a no.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ended up having a 2-1 Saturday. Bill Sandoval likes Murray State. He's against me on my free pick. Listen, Bill, go win it. I just want to win my client plays. If you beat my free pick, kudos to you, bro. I'm happy. You go and you win your Murray State. I'll take my 2-0 for the clients, and both of us will be happy. Gianni, what's going on in college basketball tonight?
Heating up, man. I mean, it's been really good. Coming off another 3-in-1 day. Up close to, I don't think, 30 units in college basketball since the first of the year. And that's what you want prime going into the March Madness that's just ahead. Now, today's board, not pretty, but already got down a ton of action for multiple groups. Haven't released any premiums yet. Again, staying selective with college basketball, been averaging about 2.4 bets per day. And it's been doing good for us. So if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. But here's what I can share with you already that definitely is sharp. 882 Virginia plus the 15 against Duke. And that game over 130.5. But here's what I saw at 133. There's a lot of resistance because when it hit 133, 33.5, if you look at your screen now, it's probably at 132, 131.5. So what you got to be careful of when it's a small board like this, and especially when they're marquee standalone TV games, the best way to make money, if you're able to manipulate the market, is get out ahead of what the public's doing. And we already know they're going to bet the over in Duke, Virginia. We already know they're going to bet Arizona and Baylor over. And that's exactly what these groups did overnight. They took the over 151.5 at Arizona, Baylor. They took the over, like I said, 130.5 in Duke, Virginia. But they also took Virginia plus the 15, and then Utah -1, 1.5, and then again today at -2. Kind of reminds me of Florida Atlantic yesterday, where it just kept getting bet up. I gave that out on the money line when it was around 2.5. When it got up to 4.5, I felt comfortable. We placed a good bet. Came down to late. They had to come from behind to beat Temple on the road. But it did get there. But if you bet late, I don't think you cashed the ticket. So the numbers do matter in college basketball, in NFL. Anywhere you're talking point spread, the numbers really matter. Now, we do have some extra board games as well. But these also, you got to be cautious, especially on the totals, because it's betting syndicates versus the books. They know the betting public's going to be betting Duke. They're going to be betting Arizona game. Not too many are going to be betting Bethune-Cookman. But these guys do, and that's what they did. They take Bethune-Cookman -1. That's 306.510. They took 306.525. Stephen F. Austin -3, -3.5. 306.528. NC Central -6.5, -7, and 532 Texas A&M CC -7.5, -8. Also have two totals for you. 306.503 over 160.5 Alabama A&M, Arkansas Pine Bluff, and then finally 306.524 under 151 in Maryland Eastern Shore and Howard. So early in the morning, it's about 9:30 a.m. Pacific here in Vegas, but been firing already. And again, more will be coming in throughout the day. So subscribers, chill. You got a tennis play already. I'll share that with you guys right now because it was a nice plus 165. It doesn't go off till late tonight. It's in the ATP Men's League, Rio de Janeiro. We took Camilo Uga Carabella at plus 165 against Pedro Martinez. That's Carabelli over Pedro Martinez at plus 165 as a 3% client play. I forgot to click the free to put it on my page.
Yeah.
At WagerTalk, so I said, let me give it out here.
Guys, only one more day for this 30-day all-access promo. A perfect time. By Gianni, by me, I'm telling you guys, both of us struggled in 2024, specifically towards the end of the season. Both of us have heated up. I'm on an 8-2 college basketball run.
Good for you.
Gianni, yeah, thanks, my brother. Gianni is winning as well. You guys can head over to WagerTalk. Let's put that promo up on the board. Daniel's son, it is 30-day all-access pass. Only $8 a day. That's $239 for 30 days. A perfect time to play Gianni and myself. Gianni, it is always a pleasure ending these shows with you. I love that I can keep these shows super tight. You only need like 5 minutes to get it
That's
all
it.
out. Thank you, my brothers, so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Lots of love. Guys, have an outstanding President's Day for my Canadian friends. Have an outstanding Family Day. We all want to see Canada and the U.S. play in the finals on Thursday in the Four Nation Cup. So I hope Canada wins. I'm going to be looking for a blowout. One of our listeners suggested 5-1. I like that score. Other than that, tomorrow we're going to delve into some cricket. So stay with us. Bet Online is sending a representative over. The ICC Championship begins tomorrow. Lots of love, everybody. We'll see you on Tuesday.